some of the things get played
Yeah.
up for the show.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, do you think we play shit up for the show?
All right. Honest question. Now
Yeah.
let me give you an honest answer.
No, lie to me, please.
What I like to do, and you know what, I wouldn't have even have known this if the homie Luis, I know we're 12 seconds into our show, but if he wouldn't have pointed it out, I probably never would have thought of it. But one time I was in his town visiting him for the weekend or whatever, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna record, got Cucuy right here, whatever, took all my shit with me, and he was like, cool. So, we're bullshitting or whatever. And then next thing you know, I hit record and I was like, what's up, everybody? Blah, 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 blah. And he was like, he thought it was funny because he was like, as soon as like you start recording, you kind of turn it up. So for me, I think it's just turning it up a notch, because like if we're like we were talking before we started recording, and it's like, oh yeah, that's dope. Fuck yeah, dog. Yeah. Cool. All right, doing this, blah, blah, blah. But if you're gonna start talking to people and you want them to be engaged, you want to bring the energy. So for me, it's more of an energy thing. And I do, if I'm not bullshitting, there's been times um, where I hear you have a point and I kind of agree, but I'm like, let me take the opposite side. And those are some like there's one episode we did where I just said, yeah, I'm just gonna take the complete opposite in opinion and go hard. And that's like our most viewed video on YouTube. Aside from some shit that has like didn't have anything to do with us that kind of went viral. But
Mm-hmm.
but as far as like a normal episode views, um yeah. And so I don't know. I think people like when you bicker and shit and it kind of gets a little more engaging. Because if we're both, oh yeah, I dig that too. Move on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if we're kind of bickering or whatever, it kind of gets people more engaged. So if I hear you with the point and I'm like, I see that, but I'm gonna take the opposite. And I'm gonna try to find the opposite and because there's people that aren't gonna agree with us, right? So if there's people taking the opposite opinion, then maybe I'm speaking for them. So yeah. What
Well, I
about you?
take the opposite opinion right here. I'm sure someone could dig up some old shows and maybe make a point out of something and say, hey, this or that, or you flipped on that, and that's fine. But I'm an argumentative sucker as it is, right? Like I like to argue, period. So I don't need to fake it to argue. If I don't agree, I'm gonna tell your ass. And a lot of times I don't agree. I do my best to try to give you my genuine self. Tell me if I'm wrong. When we're on conversations and we're on the phone, say we're bullshitting or whatnot, and one of us says, hey, this should have been a show, it's because we were talking like we were on the show.
Yeah, we were
It's no different. We just didn't hit record.
yeah.
And so I try to be as genuine, like, hey, what you see is what you get. You guys see me, we have a little get together or whatnot. We're hanging out. You say some wild ass shit. I'm either going to be keyed and just choose not to say nothing, or I'm going to call you on your shit. Like, that's just who I am,
Uh,
Had an interaction with one of our friends of the show, he knows who he is. And it was a leather versus stainless steel. And, I'm a stainless guy. I respect your opinion, and whatever's cool to you is cool to you, but that might not be cool to me. You know what I'm saying? So I try to stand on my shit, but I don't know. It kind of struck me the wrong way when I heard it, because then I'm like, well, did he really jizz in a blue cup mug, or did he really lose his virginity to his couch? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That for me, another thing is too, where I can relate to that, where I understand it, is again, back in the day, I had a hip hop label, and I met a lot of the people that, record music and portray a certain image. And I'm not going to call them out by name, but one was a No Limit. He was on Master P's record label for a while. And
mm,
so the average person would think he's got scratch, right? Like he was on No Limit Records for a while. Like it was, you would think that they got a lot of money. And when they're talking about Corvettes and, Ferraris or whatnot, you wouldn't expect to be bullshitted, like not from someone like that. But the reality of it is he was living in the projects in Richmond. And, and when we kicked it, we went to the manor where Yee was originated from. And so, like, a lot of those cats really are still living kind of hood, man. So, but it kind of broke my heart because at the time, I was so invested in the music, and the expectation is what you hear, but it's not. And so when Rich said that, I was just like, man, what else is he bullshitting me about? I mean, I know he's weird, but I mean, what else is he bullshitting me about that he played up for the show?
You know what? I'll give okay, here's an example. I'll give you talked about the projects, and um you talked about, how they maybe didn't have as much scratch as they talked about. Well, I mean, in the pop world, right? If you're in a group, if you're a female and you're in Destiny's Child, if you're in sync, if you're in Maroon 5, whatever, if you're a pop artist, you know, not so much now, because now it's like everybody's lives on social media, right? But back in
Right.
the day, in the 90s, early 2000s, when I was growing up, it was you did not tell anybody if you were in a relationship. So any interview, hey, Cucuy, are you seeing anybody? Nah, I'm single, because you're selling this image, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
selling that you're single, that if you're in a pop band and you're singing to all these little girls and shit, and you're their
Sure, they
fucking
sing the little boys.
and you're their dream crush or whatever,
Yeah.
you're gonna break their heart if you're like, oh no, I am dating whoever,
Crusher.
or fucking vice versa. If there's like a chick group and you're like, oh, or Jennifer Lopez, right? She's on TRL and she's like, oh yeah, I'm dating fucking uh what's his name?
I like
Oh
the
yeah,
other Jennifer.
oh yes, J-Lo's, remember?
I like Jennifer Coolidge better.
So say Jennifer Coolidge, right? Say it's 1999. El Cucuy is like flipping. Oh, there's MTV. There's Jennifer Coolidge. Hey, Jennifer, who are you dating? And she's like, oh, yeah, I've been dating this dude
Stifler
for
is the
2
right
years.
answer.
So she says Stifler. Cucuy is like, fuck, there goes my shot. Even though there was no
Bullshit.
shot.
No, no, no. I got to pause you right there.
All right.
That's
All right.
not how I think.
All right. Let me
There's
hear.
not goes my shot. That increases my odds because I'm way cooler than that fucker. Like
Oh,
if she likes him, oh, that's gonna be easy.
you know what's
That's
funny,
a
Doug?
free throw, extra point,
I had a
penalty
conversation
shot.
this weekend. Me and my wife went out to lunch, and I was telling her, I go, I have something about me. And it's so funny that you
How
said
does it
that.
feel to say that?
What?
Because now I hear you incorporate the word wife a lot more. How's that transition been? Adjustment? How does that make you feel?
It's cool. I mean, I couldn't say it before because she wasn't. So
Oh, I know plenty of people that call the wifey wifey when she ain't the wifey.
yeah. No, but well, anyway, and I'll get more to that in a little bit.
All
But
right.
because I'm gonna lose my thought because I'm a moron sometimes. But so we're having lunch and we're talking, and there was this dude she was talking about that was like one of the servers or something. And I mean, we're a pretty small town, so we kind of know who he is, whatever. And this dude um used to like pull bitches back in the day, right? And he's not
Right.
even like the most handsome dude. He's just like average to kind of a little dorky looking, not even dorky, just he's not that cool or whatever. But he used to pull bitches, and she was like, yeah, she's like, I think like chicks used to always like gravitate towards like his confidence and shit. And he was like, he had like a vibe about him. And so we're talking or whatever, and I was like, it's funny because I have something, and in my mind, I have a very Covino thing, and I think you have this too, where I just think most people that aren't me or my friends, I think they're dorks, right? So like there's like one time there was this dude, and I remember
He said they're dorks.
there was this dude on the Carl page. I remember and I remember I was like scrolling, and I was like, babe, I go look at this dude, the fucking dork. And she was like, what? And I was like, dork, right? And she was like, he looks like a normal dude. I was like, yeah, he's a fucking
And I
exactly what I
just
said, right? He's a
and see
fucking
what
dork.
and see for me, and I'm just like, I just don't I don't look at it like that, but I just look like, why would you do that? Like I just don't get it. Sometimes I won't look at it like from a negative standpoint, like name calling, but I'll just be like, I don't get it.
Well, no, I was sure I mean, I'm not gonna call the person out, but I remember he was wearing a graphic tee that had like somebody from the 90s or 80s, even a very popular character on there. And he had like these like
Alf?
no, but he had these
Oh.
glasses that were like these like
Buzz McKenzie.
it was like these like wire frames that were kind of like Like I was like, dog, you're gonna put something on your face. Have it have like a little fucking put a little effort into the way they look. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And but it was just like to me, it was like, oh, this guy's a dork. And I didn't like didn't mean anything by it. I was just scrolling. I was like, oh yeah, dork. And it's funny though, because like I told her, I go, I can do some corny ass shit, but I'm still cooler than you in my
But
mind.
you can recover from it.
Yeah, because I'm like, Doug, like if there's somebody, say there's a Carl, right? Like
Fuck snarl.
but I'm not gonna call any dudes, but say some of the people that are rich is up their ass, right? And they're up rich's ass. And I'm like, to me, they're just like corny ass white guys, you know?
Oh, you left. No, I'm
What
listening. Corny ass white guys.
was Chapo right there or what?
Yeah, I was gonna get Chop in it.
But so to me, I'm just like, oh, that's like, yeah, like Rich might think this is the coolest dude ever, but I'm like, he's a dork, you know?
You got himself in it. Hey, cut your shit. Hey, cut the shit. Get down.
Oh, you know what?
What?
I gotta tell you, you brought Chapo up, and this weekend I had to dig a hole for my sister's dog, right?
Ah,
And she's not
you
dead.
really are the bearer of bad news.
She's not she's not gone, but she's on her way, right? She's old, and I'm just trying to be proactive. So I'm like, all right, and it's a morbid ass.
Bro?
What?
Who does that?
What?
Digs the hole before the dog dies.
Doug, so what so
No, who does it? That's all I'm asking.
I do, because check this out. All right, let me tell you the
Let's
scenario.
I need to hear listener feedback on this one. Who digs the hole before the dog is actually dead?
Well, check this out. Who's going to be digging the hole? Right? Me. My brother's not going to do it.
She got a man. How come he ain't digging the hole? I'm friends with her on IG, bro. He should be digging the hole, not her brother. Just saying, bro.
Okay, Doug. You
And if he's listening, hey, don't mean to call you out, but that's the way it should be. Be a man.
Yeah. Okay.
Dig your lady's hole for her dog.
But yeah. So I
sorry.
He ain't on Patreon, so maybe we'll leave it, maybe we won't. We'll see. But
all right. Well, I don't know him. I'm just giving you an opinion. Like, I don't know. I mean, like if it was my lady, I would dig the hole. I'm not gonna make her brother come do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, guy.
Yeah. But I'm thinking, all right, you know how busy I am with my kid and everything, right? We always have something going on. So
yes, you are.
I'm like, okay, one day my sister calls me and is like, hey, Coco's fucking dead.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to fucking come over here, dig the hole. Fucking, you know what? Just
sure Coco was loved.
So she is, dog. She's still alive. I saw her yesterday.
Good.
I'm all digging the hole. She's like, hey, what you doing over there? I'm like, hey, don't worry about it.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Hey, go play with your toy.
I was gonna ask you if you shared a moment, but it sounds like you did.
Yeah. No, she actually she was on the opposite side of the yard because the yard's kind of cut into.
Oh yeah.
It's cut into 2 yards, whatever. There's like a fence down the middle. Okay. So I was on the second half over there, like just trying to making sure she wasn't looking, you know, like, you know.
I mean, you are the right man for the job, but
yeah. But so that was something I did. So
that sucks. I'm sorry for her loss. That sucks. Family pets like that, losing them, it's never cool.
And it sucks, Doug, because she's about to be 12, right? The dog, and they only last like 11, 12 years,
right?
And
they only last.
This type of dog
only lasts.
Only live until
your choice of verbiage when it comes to a life is interesting.
This type of dog only lives until this certain age.
The life's expectancy.
And
what kind of dog is it?
It's a I think it's a lab. So
black lab, golden retriever. Oh no, that's not
no. She's a like a brown, light brown, almost blonde lab.
Okay.
But I think this one would be like, this is going to be like a little hard for my sister. I can already tell because this is the last dog she had that my dad knew before he passed, right? Because she had gotten this dog, not him, this girl dog. She got her like maybe she had her for like 6 months, and then my dad passed. So this is one she can remember, like my dad playing with and shit. And then
Yeah.
when she passes away, it's kind of like, oh, that kind of chapter is closed on like pets and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, bro. That's never easy. My
So
condolences for sure.
yeah, but she's cool right now. She's just like not really eating and shit, and kind of, she's in her elder years. She's kind of so
Did you go over there and pick up the poop too?
um I did the other day.
Okay.
I did the other day. So yeah, I actually yeah, I did the other day. I'll just say that.
I'm gonna leave it
Um,
alone. I'm gonna leave it alone.
all right, sounds good. So what's going on, Doug? I know you had a lot of shit. So what's going on?
Jordan, one thing that got me was her fear of living alone because Covino's older. And life never really works out all the way that you expect it to. And my pops always had a saying, and it was don't worry about shit you can't control, right? And I think her influence on Covino just to be healthy and live his best life is probably enough
It's Beth
because
life.
it's best life. Because my pops was 8 years younger than my mom, and I know
Yeah.
it's their gap's a little bigger than that, but 8 years is still 8 years. And meanwhile he passed away at 68, and my mom is 80, still kicking like a ninja. So you know what I mean? It just sometimes, and then she was the older person. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah.
and life's crazy, right? It's not always about age or even health. I mean, you can get taken out by a boulder in one of these crazy California, raining sessions. You know what I'm saying? So like life is crazy. I don't know. I think that she probably shouldn't worry about that. There's way more important things to worry about, and something like that where you have no control whatsoever and things never work out usually the way you thought they were gonna.
Doug, this is really gonna be a morbid show because I have a story after this.
Oh, morbid.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
like
wasn't that the name of the character on the Eddie Murphy? Morbid. No, it was Orbit. Norbit.
Norbit. It wasn't
No.
morbid.
I thought it
Well,
was morbid.
well, yeah, I have something, Doug, that's fucked up that it's true, dog. Like you said, it reminded me when you said you could get hit by a fucking boulder.
You
You
can.
could, um, there's this little girl that my daughter was in the pageant a couple weekends ago. And this little girl that was in the pageant, I think she's 8. So she's like a year or two older than my daughter. And she was in the pageant and she also dances with her at her dance company, their little friends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe like 4 days ago, the little girl's dad died, and he's like in his like early 40s. And it sucks because he's a truck driver, right? And he was in Albuquerque. We're in Arizona. So he was in Albuquerque. And I guess what happened was he noticed like something wasn't right. So he like called the paramedics and shit. And then I
Right.
don't I don't know if he like had a heart attack or some shit and he died. And I'm just like, dog, like that's something where, like you said, you never know because
You don't.
this dude just went out, be gone for a few days, a week or whatever, like he normally does. And it just sucks because that little girl, 8 years old, can hurt. She's now like she doesn't have a dad, and it's crazy because you just never know. And it just reminded me because my dad was almost Covino's age when he passed,
Right.
which when I look at it now, I'm like, fuck, dog, that's crazy.
Right.
He was literally a month after his 47th birthday.
Right.
And so Covino's 46, about to be 47 in August. And I'm just like, fuck, Doug. And like, it's just crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, you do never know. You can't ever prepare and shit. But
You can't prepare. You exercise, you eat right, and you try to take care of your body the best that you can. And maybe if it was in your cards to go from a heart attack and you cut back on your cholesterol, maybe you did avoid that one. But you can't avoid everything, and you just can't. And with that being said, with my pops, that was also 90% of that, and with him passing was
mhm,
from poor hospital care. Right.
yeah,
He had went to the doctor for 5 or 6 weeks complaining about the issue, and they'd misdiagnosed him twice. By the time he finally got there, it was too late. I mean, he was already messed up. So that one could have been prevented. You know what I'm saying? So again, you just never know what's going to happen. And he's 45. Like, worry about that when he's 85 and in bad health.
yeah. No, and
You
see,
know,
and that's the thing is that, like you said, He's in good health. He's young. He just went and got blood work done. Like, like you're saying, there. Okay, worry about it when he's 80, right? And his health starts declining, but
Right.
he's relatively healthy, right? If there's something that happens, like you said, your dad had poor, hospital care, which I mean, I'm sorry, that sucks. My dad he had an aneurysm, so they kind of couldn't prevent that, just one day to the
Right.
next. And so you don't know if Covino has an aneurysm tomorrow, why the fuck is she gonna
Or if she does.
exactly she's
Now the
preparing
age don't even matter.
exactly because she's preparing for shit that they might have to prepare for her. It's
Right,
just
right.
yeah, so
You're not bigger than life and the creator. And there was a plan in place. And to even challenge that or act like you even know is, I mean, I'm not going to insult Jordan, so I'll just stop there. But we just don't know. That's like Tip Dog, right? I think I brought this up before, but he felt like he was the bad luck for the Raiders. And every game that we would go to and they would lose, he would say it's because he showed up. And it's like, again, do you think that with 7.5 billion people or 8 billion on the planet right now, that the at the time Oakland Raiders lost because Tipton showed up?
hey,
Like, bro, you're giving yourself way too much power. They didn't lose a football game that has, in $1 billion industry because you bought a $25 seat. I mean, and a $10 hot dog and a $9 beer.
okay, but you don't know.
You don't.
It could
And
be. It could be. There could be some fucking other universe and shit where fucking Tip Dog's the curse, and this fucker needs to stay home, or they're gonna lose. You never know. We don't know. That's like saying you fucking know what happens to you when you die, right? You don't know. We don't. There's many things we don't know. There's fucking
no, but let's use those two as a common sense analogy.
okay.
Not knowing, but pretending to know when you die is a much larger statement than saying you're full of shit because you think that when you show up in person to watch a football game, they lose.
Why?
Because knowing the answer to why we're here to the middle or the end of, you know what I mean? You're born and you die is a much larger thing to think God gives a shit about if the Raiders show up, let alone if you're there or not when it happens.
Who's to say God's the one making the decision? Maybe
Whoever's making the decision,
maybe
just think about
maybe
those
it's something else in the universe that there's
craving and knowing a piece of information that everybody wants to know is different to me, in my opinion, than whoever the creator is giving a shit if that guy shows up at a Raider game. They lose anyways. They lose if he's there. They lose if he's not there. Like it doesn't even, there's not even any validity to it because they never win. They always lose. So at that point, you should change your statement to saying they lose because you're a fan.
maybe I don't know. That's the thing though. I don't know because I just think about it like there's some I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it, but I just think the thing is that we don't know. We don't
We don't
know.
know.
We don't know. Tipton could be the fucking the
He's the
curse of the
curse.
Raiders.
He's the curse.
When was he born? Right? In
In
whatever
Curseville.
right?
Curseville, Carolina.
So say he was born in 1995, right?
Curseville.
We'll give Tipton a few years. Let's say he's born in 1995, and you don't know, maybe a few years before that they were good. But this is where I
They
will
won.
kind
No,
of
they won that. No, because they won the Super Bowl a few years after he was born.
and okay, so that's where I'm gonna say this is where I can maybe debunk this, even though I don't want to, because I'm right now thinking about we don't know,
You're gonna
but
start a fucking Unsolved Mysteries podcast next.
you don't. I mean, the only thing I'm thinking about is a few years back they were in the Super Bowl with what the Chiefs or
They got
somebody,
beat 55-21. Yeah, they were there, but they didn't show up.
but
That don't count.
they
That
got
don't
there.
count. That don't when you reach what you think's your goal and you're in a position to reach the ultimate goal and you get embarrassed, did you really reach your goal? They got embarrassed and humiliated. I would rather them have lost a tough nail biter in the AFC Championship game and not get there than to show up and make a fool of yourself.
Oh,
Just
you
stay
know what?
home.
Let me go ahead and
Stay home. That was embarrassing. That hurt more than them not getting there.
Let me shift gears to March Madness because you're talking about to be embarrassed, right? Or have like a nail biter, right? So for
I don't
March,
bite my nails. That's
so
gross.
March Madness, dog. So I had put some money on Florida Atlantic, right? University. So
Yep.
FAU, right? Because they were the biggest underdog, right? They were like
No, I
plus
thought San Diego State was the biggest underdog.
no. Well, a week or so ago, whenever I placed this bet, they were plus 650. They were the biggest underdog. So,
Okay.
because I had looked at the Final Four and I go, I'm gonna put money on because things have been so crazy.
Are you getting pointers from Rich?
No. So
Okay,
things have been
good.
so crazy with March Madness. I go, you know what? F- it. The biggest underdog might win, right? So to your point about you'd rather them lose a buzzer beater or whatever or nail biter, Doug, the SDSU versus who the San Diego State play? I forgot.
Didn't they knock out a number one? They knocked out a number one.
So no. Okay, so the San Diego State played in Florida Atlantic. That's what I'm saying right now.
Oh,
so
okay.
they played Florida Atlantic. That was Doug against the biggest underdog. Came down to a buzzer beater. Literally, the fucking ball left the dude's hand from SDSU at like in 0.9 seconds, right? UConn blows out Miami, dog. They were up by like 18 at one point. So to your point, would you rather if I was to go out, Doug, I'd much rather go out like Florida Atlantic, being like, okay, we played our asses off, and it was that 1 second.
You know why? Because you got hope. You got hope that, hey, you know what? One more possession that goes our way, we're in the championship game. The Raiders didn't have no hope after that. Do you know? Okay, let me ask you this. Let's Google it. That was a 2003 Super Bowl, right? You know what that kind of shit does to a person?
2003? I thought it was more recent.
No,
it was 2003.
So check this out. Watch this. Let me show you. Let me explain to you why I think the way that I do. So yeah, they got to the Super Bowl, right? Let's go Raiders record the next year. 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got there, and then they went 5-11. And then they drafted Jamarcus Russell. And then Randy Moss didn't want to be there, and he forced a trade. Like, it was all downhill.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the end. And we've got like 2 playoff victories or 1 playoff victory since, and it's just been a shit show. So, I don't know, man. You know, when we lost to Tony Saragusa, when he hurt Rich Gannon in the AFC championship game, we were playing Baltimore. We come back next year and get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We get blown out in the Super Bowl. We've been a shit show ever since.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, bro.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have nothing else to add to that.
Then we went 4-12. Oh, then we went 2-14. Oh, then we went 4-12. We came up a little bit.
Oh, look at you guys.
2008, we're 5-11.
Making moves.
2009, we're 5-11. 2010, we're 8-8.
Oh, there you go. Right at the 500 mark, right?
2011, we're 8-8.
All right.
2012, we're back to 4-12. 2013, we're at 4-12. So the next 10 years, you just heard the records after getting to the Super Bowl and getting doo-dooed on by the Bucs and John Gruden. It was horrible. Would you take getting to the championship game for misery for the next 10 seasons? Hell no. That's not a fair trade-off.
Yeah. All right. You're right. So, what else you got on the fucking docket?
Well, Ted Lasso.
What about it?
I don't know. Ted Lasso. Rich is pumping it up. I did see the first season, but if you listen to what Covino said, it makes a lot of sense. It's same as Tiger King, right? No one gives a shit if it's not COVID and we're not all scared and locked down and not wondering what the hell is going to happen to us or happen next. Ted Lasso did its purpose, but I think that shit's ran its course. I don't know why he keeps. Well, he's and then it's all Apple, right? Like if you look at that, he's going Shrinking, which is another good show. I've seen it. I'm not going to sit here and argue and say it's not a good show because it's decent. It is. It's decent. It is what it is. Lasso's all right. I'm not going to say it's not. It's all right, but I think it's ran its course. And the morning show, again, those are mid shows. They're definitely shows if nothing else is on, you can turn on and watch and be occupied. But are they better than scrolling through TikTok? I don't know.
Yeah.
He shows his background because the shows that I'm watching Ghost Power 2, I'm watching BMF, right? I'm watching what's that other one on Stars that has E40 in it? That one. I watched The Neighborhood, and he's over here watching, I don't know, man. He watches these crazy ass shows and he's too nice. That's not Ted Lasso. Who can relate to that guy? Can you?
No, what season are they on? 3?
Yeah.
I watched season 1. I think most of it. I enjoyed it. But I don't know. I think part of it was because their shit. Let me have a disclaimer. I can say I can watch shit that I don't relate to, but I just enjoy. But that's one that I feel like if I could relate to it,
I
I
can
might
do
enjoy it
that.
a little better. You know what I'm saying?
No, I can. You're right. I can watch the shit that I can relate to that I can't relate to that I enjoy because I don't kill people. And I watched Dexter, and that was one of the best shows on TV. I liked True Blood for a while. I get it. It's what it is. It's him when he finds something that he really likes. He has the difficulty understanding why people don't share his passion, and I think that's something he should try to work on because it's not to take away from Ted Lasso, but just because Rich is all in love with Ted Lasso and shrinking and all that doesn't mean that they're the best shows on TV. That means that he really likes it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, and it doesn't mean that it sucks either, but it's just not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, no, I feel you. And I you know what? I'm not gonna talk shit about it because I might get back and catch up, when I can or whatever. But I'm telling you right now, the second it starts feeling like homework, I'm gonna fall off. I'm not gonna try to do it. Um,
There was a show on Netflix, and I'll give you an example, and this is why I don't with Ted Lasso. There was a show on Netflix, it's on now. It's called The Night Watch. Everyone, was watching it. It was in the top 10. I put that show on one time and I even missed sleep for work. I watched like the first 7 episodes because I couldn't stop. I felt like that with The Mandalorian in the first season. When it was the baby Grogu or Gogru or whatever his name was, the first season, boom, I put it on and I couldn't wait. Like every episode felt like Dexter, like it was a cliffhanger, and I couldn't wait out of anticipation to see what was next. I don't feel like that with Ted Lasso. BMF's like that. When BMF has an episode and Lala does this or this happens or whatnot, I can't wait to see the next one.
yeah, no. I'm trying to think of which show was like that recently for me. There was a show that I watched, same shit, right? Where I'm like,
Even
oh,
Young Rock.
I know what it was. The show You. I know you don't watch it, but for me,
Okay.
a lot of people were talking shit about it this season, but I loved it. That was one where I was like, yeah, I couldn't wait to watch the next one. But I see what you're saying. If you don't have that at this point, dog, there's so many options. Why the are you gonna waste your time with that? Your precious 75 summers, right?
Yeah. Well, and
Fuck
it, and, it,
no.
ti- and it and it ties into another thing, and it ties back to something we were just talking about with Raider games. But they were talking about VIP treatment. Rich is like, you can get milkshakes. That VIP treatment, man. I was a season ticket holder from 2006 until 2019 at the Raiders, and those tickets cost me $25 a seat. VIP treatment is cool, and I did that. I sat like fifth row at the Warrior game before, and that shit was dope because you do get certain amenities that you don't get with everything else. But I'm not only going to go to one game out of the year because I want VIP treatment. I'd rather go to those cheap ass seats because the vibe is different. The vibe with the people that are paying $1,000 each for seats is totally different than the people in the $25 seats who snuck in liquor and they're boozing it up with straws in a Ziploc bag. You're just, hello? It's Miguelito. I'll have to hit him later. But it's a different energy and a different vibe. And I don't know if Rich, again, I don't mean to bag on Rich because lately as a show, he's been supporting us and we kind of agree with more stuff now with him than before, but the energy is different. There's no fights in the $1,000 seats.
You know what? I'm gonna kind of shift gears, but it's something just like you said. We appreciate Rich, right? Everything, but there's something, Doug, that I sometimes I feel like he just has this idea of something that isn't in reality. He was talking about if his family lived in town, he would, and I'm gonna quote him. He said he would make Friday date night, and always take the kids to grandma's on every Friday, and him and Sarah could go out and this and that.
52-week commitment for grandma.
Yeah, that's what I'm, Doug. I live in town, like I told you, with my sister, my mom, right, my fucking brother, whatever. If we and my wife and I have, you know how like we're always doing shit. We gotta go out of town, do shit. Aside from that, we're not saying, "Hey, kid, mom, watch." My wife's family don't live here. Mine does. So I'm not gonna every Friday, mom, can watch my daughter. We're gonna go out or whatever, or my sister or my brother.
Bro,
Did he forget?
arguably the best night of the week.
Did he forget that you're inconveniencing other people if they do it and you're paying them or whatever?
I was just gonna say that.
It's still
Rich,
inconveniencing them, dog. Like you
Rich,
think my mom wants to spend every Friday night and watching my kids? She loves my daughter. She every time she sees her, she fucking has the greatest time, right? But you think every Friday she wants that to be a commitment?
check it out. Check it out, Rich. I've raised 7 kids. All right. Look into my eyes right now if you're watching. Be a man. It's time to pay Melody. Melody is smart enough. She's intelligent. She's not stupid. It doesn't look like she's into bad stuff and she's got her head on her shoulders. All you need is someone there to call for help if something goes wrong.
And see,
that doesn't change if you're there, Rich, because if Ben falls off something or something falls, yeah, it's different if an adult's there because you're probably better to handle a situation. Yes and no. If paramedics need to be called, paramedics need to be called, right? If they don't need to be called, they're going to call you and you can tell them what to do. It's time to be a man. Pay her 20, 25 bucks an hour to watch your kids. Quit putting that responsibility on people you care about. When they want to watch your kid, they'll let you know, right? When I want to babysit because I think you need a timeout or whatnot, I'll tell somebody, hey, you know what? You need some time with so-and-so. I got it. But I'm only doing that once or twice a year because I like my Friday nights. Be a man, pay somebody, find someone that you like, whether it's someone you know, it's Melody, do whatever. But once you compensate somebody, it's a business transaction. You ain't got to feel guilty no more. If you want your mom to watch your kid every Friday night, you're a scumbag.
And check this out, dog. It makes the perfect sense. You said Melody, right? Melody lives in Rich's neighborhood.
Right.
Her and her mom are in Rich's neighborhood.
Give her her first job.
Exactly. Isn't she going to be stoked? That's somebody that's going to be excited to watch the kids. She's like, yeah, you guys go out at like 8 or 9. The kids are probably going to be in bed, right?
Right.
Then she has a few hours of her night where she's on her phone. She's talking to Larith or whatever their names are nowadays, and be like, you know, on her phone bullshitting. You know, Emmy gets up. Oh, Melody, is mommy here yet? No, Melody, she'll be here in a few hours.
Here's some candy. Go back to bed.
Go back to bed, right? She uses the bathroom, goes back to bed. Ben comes out. Oh, huge penis. You know, okay.
Here's some Girl Scout cookies. Go back to bed.
Exactly, right? She'll be stoked. Make herself, 50, 75 bucks or whatever.
No, if it's from 8 p.m. to like 2, I'm saying that's 100 shanks at least, maybe 150. Rich, you got 2 jobs. You get paid. You work for one of the biggest broadcasting companies in our country. Give her 100 shanks for a night out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Give her. I mean, if it's like, say they just want to go have dinner, it's like 2 hours, 3 hours,
50 bucks.
That won't be bad. But see, and that's the thing is, if you do that, if you don't want to pay for a whole night, like you're saying, they don't want to pay $300 for the whole evening. Hey, you know what? We're just going to go to dinner, but we want a kid-free dinner. Melody, you're down the street. Come on. We'll fucking give you $50. We'll be gone maybe 2 hours max, right? An hour and a half, maybe. Just we want to get away, have a dinner, have some adult conversation, and we'll be back. Even if you don't make the 2 hours, say you're back in an hour and you're like, you know what? We got through that dinner pretty quick. Cool. Let's go home. We're tired. Still give her the $50 or whatever. But to be like, oh, I wish my mom lived in town. I'd give her she'd have my kids every day.
That's
It
horrible.
doesn't work like that, dog. It
And it's a
doesn't
bad look.
like that.
I don't, and also I don't know if you're lacking self-awareness of how that sounds to people that have kids much older than you and raise kids and know how hard it is to truly get someone to watch your kids. Like just saying that, it just, I don't know, whatever. I get it, but again, it's because he doesn't get it, and we got to
And
give him a
see, and
pass.
that's the thing though, is that I know, dog, I probably could. I probably could just tell my mom to watch my daughter every weekend, right? I probably could.
But it ain't the right thing to do.
But I wouldn't want to do that to her, right? And my mom, she's in her mid-50s. She single, but she's still, dog. Maybe she wants to watch a movie by herself, or or she wants to
Or
kick
smoke a
it,
bowl.
or wants to, go run some errands or something. Whatever she has, I'm not gonna make her can already be like, I want to go do this, but you know what? I'm gonna kick it in case Daniel wants to bring over the kid, or I'm gonna go. I need to go to Walmart. You know what? Walmart. What if it's Friday night? They might be going out. Fuck that, dog. Fuck that.
Well, and think about it like this. If you live in the same city, they're already going to see Nana or Grammy or Grandma much more anyways. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to, it doesn't have to be under the pretense of only when you babysit. You're going to, all the holidays, right? Mom's going to be there. Birthdays, mom's going to be there. Probably for Sarah's, for Rich's, for Ben's, for Emmy's, for her own. There's going to be so many. You're probably going to hang out 20 to 50 times a year anyways, just because she's in town.
Yeah. There'll be times, dog, where I'll pick up my daughter from dance and I'm like, hey, you want to go see Nana for like 15 minutes? She'll be like,
Right.
oh, hell yeah. So we'll go stop by. My mom sees her. She hugs her, plays a game of Uno with her, whatever, and we bounce. Right.
Bro, my kid used to see my pops every damn day, damn near. It was like, even when she got to where she was driving on her own, it was still probably 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. But yeah,
But
I just thought
hook Melody up. Give her her first job. You like to brag about shit you done for people, Rich. Give her her first job. Maybe she takes that money and she flips it and turns it into something else. Who knows?
Yeah. Takes that, puts it into some art supplies and shit, so she could make more portraits of people's pets and shit. You know what I'm saying?
And then he could be a G about it and just maybe say he's paying her $25 an hour, but only don't tell her that. Just tell her you're going to pay her 20, put the 5 aside. And at the end of the year, if she's babysat for you for 52 Friday nights, maybe you buy her a savings bond, or you started her a checking account in Covino's name. And now she's got a bonus of 5 times 52. You got another 260 in it. I don't know. Get creative. Hook people up. It's time that you graduate and take the next step instead of what can people do for you, but how can you create a win-win where you get what you want, but you're also helping out in return.
You know what though, Doug? You just made a good point. Is that you said he works for like the biggest one of the biggest companies or whatever. That's what trips me out, is that if he does want to go out on a date night 2 times a month or whatever, and they have a very safe, place that they can get a babysitter from, a very good company where you're not going to get a kid toucher, you can, why not pay the $200-300 or $500, whatever the it is, Doug? Like, he makes fun of Covino because Covino likes to save money, but this fucker's not wanting to put out $200-300 for a night out with his wife a couple times a month.
Right.
Like that's where I don't get it, where I'm like, you're trying to think of who can watch your kid or whatever. When, Doug, you're in LA, they have probably the biggest, most trustworthy companies, and he's used them before, right?
Get Melody.
And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Save Melody wasn't available. Doug,
reschedule.
I don't know, Doug. I don't know.
And I know this. I'm a cochino. Like, you know how much fun and nasty you could be, Rich? Like he was just talking about he likes to watch in the mirror. Go get a motel room. Go get you a red roof or a fucking sleazy 6 for an hour or two and do a little mirror fucking and after dinner and then go back home. Like, I don't know. This could be an escape in so many different ways that it re-energizes the relationship.
Doug, you know what? Cheap hotels have gone up in price. I remember, Doug, when they were like $39 a night or whatever, right?
Yeah, Motel 6.
Right. It would be like $39. If you were, and I'm talking
bro, we used to just go trap out of them, bro. For $40, I ain't got to bring heat to no one's house.
And that's the thing, is that like, it was like not maybe like 10 years or less ago. I remember just going and you're like, hey, you need this hotel for a few hours. You don't even need it for the night or whatever. $40, cool. They don't even require no fuck. You could pay that bitch in cash.
Yeah.
There's a hotel. I wouldn't say down the street, but a little ways north of where I live.
HK and TJ is good for that too.
And dog, this shit was fucking. I looked the other night. I was at a red light, and I was like, "That motherfucker's $89 a night." And this shit is hood as fuck, dog. Most I would say probably 2 weekends out of the month, there's like police tape around it. You know, they're doing some kind of investigation. Somebody died. Somebody jumped off the balcony.
Hey, when I was living in Oakland at that La Quinta, I was staying there 3 or 4 nights a week. They did that 3 or 4 times in the 7 months I was there. Yeah, it was wild. They would shut the whole shit. Then I go to get food and shit. Chief, go get food, come back, and I can't even get back into the hotel for like 3 hours because they're doing some crime scene investigation. What about the clip they played about that dude being asked to come into work early and then he ended up quitting his job?
I don't remember.
I guess the new generation, I guess they were asking him to come in early because he started at a certain time. And then when the boss responded, he said he wanted him to be at his desk at that time. What do you think about that? You feeling pressure? Have you ever felt pressure like that in your career to come in early to a job where you weren't, the expectation was you got there early without getting paid?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I've done it. I didn't dig it.
Shit, them outlets out here. You guys fuck with outlets out there or no?
Yeah, but I have to drive a couple hours to go to them. They don't have any. Maybe there's one like 50 minutes away. But if I'm trying to go to the good outlets, then maybe it'll be a couple hours away. Maybe like where's like in Alpine and shit. They have some. So I got to drive a couple hours.
We got some at Pismo Beach here that's only 45 minutes away, and they're decent. I mean, if you go to LA outlets, obviously, or the Bay, or even Gilroy or Tulare, they get down. But shit, I got some Nike work shoes yesterday for like $25, brand new. And this whole thing, they had the whole outfit. They had the D-boy sweatsuit back in the day. They had the Calvin Klein one. It was like $180, $190, not on sale. On sale for like $40.
Yeah, my sister, was it Golden Acorn or fucking Viejas? One of those places have outlets across the street. Yeah, there's a casino. There's Golden Acorn and Viejas that's pretty close to us, like a couple hours. And they have outlets. One of them, I forget what it is, and they have some dope ass outlets. My sister got some dope ass Nikes for $25. She got like 3 pair. They're fucking dope. So
that was the way to go.
Yeah, 100%.
Man.
Yeah. Well,
but so I want to spin off of that clip though, because I've been in that situation too. And I remember when I first started at Albertsons, we had a store manager, and he was like the Bill Walsh. Like a lot of people came up underneath this dude. So they looked at what he did because he had a lot of influence on who got promoted and whatnot. And I remember that's what he told me. You need to be here 15 minutes early, walk your store, know your areas that you need to hit. So you already have a game plan. So when you punch in at 4 o'clock, you're ready to roll. The bread needs to be filled, the milk, and you're basically, you're putting out fires, and you're assessing which fires need to be put out first. But that company got sued for off the clock work. And like at the end of the day, that is free timing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that they were also talking about spending a lot of time with the company, and you've been with a lot of people used to be with the company for a long ass time, and people are quick to switch, right? So are the companies, and the companies will get rid of you quicker than shit. I've been in those conversations where the most ineffective employee, because of age, is usually the highest paid, especially when you work grocery and you're in the union. Like Marge, who's getting 6 to 3s Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. She's been with the company 35 years, and she is not in the top 10 as far as items checked per minute. She gets paid the most vacation because she's been there before Christ. And, they've matched so much in her 401k over 35 years. It's like the benefit kind of goes both ways, right? So she's being taken care of. But I think what I'm getting to is people are disposable nowadays. And I watched in my former company, I'm not going to say who, but they used to talk about firing people all the time. And they didn't care who it was, and they felt they could replace anybody. And so I think companies are sharing, well, look at what they did to Spot,
Yeah.
right? And look at Covino don't get benefits. Like, where's the loyalty? 20 some years. They're not showing you that same loyalty. And I don't think, in my own opinion, bro,
Yeah.
working 30 years with the same company anymore is a badge of honor. To me, that's a sign that you were scared of change.
Yeah.
Because you've had to have built relationships where other opportunities presented themselves, but you were so comfortable in that 30 years that you never took them. Look at me, bro. I went from Save Mart in 2021. I went to Vault to be a supervisor with a COVID company, right? Like, that's a big jump of faith, and they're not even around anymore. I just got an email that they actually closed down. And then I went to Stizzy, which, dude, now I'm in the cannabis industry. That's another jump of faith, right? And now I'm doing something totally different. But you know what the key factor was in all of that? I believe in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know me won't let me down. And I'm going to give the effort wherever I go. So whatever challenge I get, if I don't succeed to my plan and I fail to meet my own expectations, one thing, it ain't going to be because of lack of effort. And every one of those jobs, I didn't drink for multiple weeks before you know what I'm saying? Trying to get everything down. I wasn't drinking at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think, like, 30 years at the same job, bro, that's not a badge of honor anymore. Bill, think about it. Bill Gates, what now he is because he owns the company. But look at Steve Jobs, bro. He wasn't at Apple for 30 years. He was there. He started that animation company. He went back. Like, true hustlers don't stick to the same gig, man. They see other gigs with better opportunity, and they either start working multiple gigs or they move on to the better gig.
You know what, Doug? I trip out because I talked to somebody recently, and they're close to my age. They're a little younger, but they're close to my age, a couple years, right?
Right.
And it's crazy because I think about, Doug, when I was like a kid and I was working certain jobs, and then, you know, you get like a little bit better paying job. Then you're working, like, maybe you go from like a part-time job as like a high school, you know, early college kid to like you're working full-time jobs, and, you know, all that. To me, Doug, that is like, looking back at all of that those type of jobs and shit was so fucking cool. The people you met, the learning you did, right? I talked to somebody recently, and they told me, you know, we work for the college right now. They told me that this is the only job they've ever had.
Yeah, that.
Doug, I think about, like, I remember I was like 19 and I was working at Cracker Barrel, right? And everybody that was there, like all the servers and shit, we were about the same age, right? So everybody around being stupid, like, and dog, I didn't even smoke, but I would go out and have a smoke break with people and be like, you know, and like, but it just bonding, right? You're like,
you're building relationships,
and it's cool because, like, some of those people, dog, one of my good friends, a dude named Isaac, right? He's got a electric company now. When we were working together, I was 19, he was 20, and I worked there for a couple of years. I think he worked there for like 3 or 4 or whatever. And now it's so crazy to see, dog, he owns this company, one of the biggest electric companies here in town. And I'm doing my thing and shit. And it's cool to be like, damn, dog, like, you came up, you're doing your thing. It's so dope. I saw a friend of mine the other day that I haven't seen probably since shortly after high school.
Right.
And I seen this dude and we started catching up and shit. And I was like, fuck, you know, we're talking, and, you know, he did this. He was at like CenturyLink. He was this. I couldn't imagine, Doug, being like just with the same company your entire life, like even as like a kid. I can't imagine that. To me, that's freaking nuts, you know?
Well, it's kind of like we were talking about earlier, man, is you never know the future or the plan. So, like, I'll give you a brief rundown on my, you know, career. Like, when I actually got, you know, forget the delivering pizzas. I started out delivering pizzas, but then I got a job at the grocery store because all my friends worked there and they all got promoted to manager. So I was like, cool. So I did that until 2002. Well, then I started doing the music thing and selling real estate. So I left a union job when I was 4th in the store. I was 4th in the whole store at like 23, and I walked away from it, right, to start a hip hop label and to flip real estate. And did that, got back into retail at 2013. Never thought I was going to get back into it, but the whole time I was flipping real estate, I was working on my business management degree in case I did go as a fallback. Boom, did get back into it. did it for a minute, like I said, and I just ran over the Vault Health and Stizzy and what I'm doing now. But what I'm doing now ties back into the retail because I'm still in grocery stores. So point being is I was never scared to take an opportunity because I would rather take the opportunity and the opportunity not work out. I think when my life is all said and done, I can live with myself a lot better if I gave it all I had and I didn't leave anything on the table versus I was comfortable the whole time, but my table's filled with what ifs.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? And that's what this person told me. They were like, because I don't know what we were talking about. Oh, we were talking about maybe jobs or some shit. And they were like, I kind of regret that. And I was like, what? And they were like, that this is the only place I've ever worked. And they're making bank right now. Like, don't get me wrong. They're doing fucking dope.
Are they happy though
And
being there?
and the thing is,
If they're happy being there, cool.
I think they are. But there's been a lot of things on a personal level that have changed for them recently.
Right.
Where I think now they're starting to question a lot of things. And one of the things they were telling me was where they're like, I've never worked anywhere else. And they were like, I don't have those. I worked at McDonald's, this was a shitty job. I don't have that. I like for me, my very first job ever.
But that shit builds character.
I was a
Builds
janitor.
character.
I was at an old people home. I was a janitor, mopping floors and shit, taking out the trash when I was a junior in high school. And it's funny because like I'm like, all that shit, like you said, it builds character, builds
It
fucking
does.
for good stories, and you're like, man, I remember that's crazy. Like, cool,
Let me touch on that. I was like I said, my first job was for me and Ed's Pizza, and I was a delivery driver. And we used to have to wash dishes and make the cheese and clean the cheese blender and the dough and all that. Well, long story short, as a manager at Save Mart, Food Max, or Albertsons, if I broke something, do you think that I did what everyone else did and go made a bagger come clean it up? Hell no. I got 2 pieces of cardboard and I scooped it up the best I could, ran and got paper towels and wiped it up because you know why? Cleaning it up myself is faster than having someone else do it just because I can. So if I didn't have the job where I was starting off washing dishes and cleaning, I might be like these other managers that would rather have someone else go do it because they don't want to clean it up. Instead, not only am I not too good to clean it up, it's going to be a lot more efficient because I still got to wait there until someone else cleans it up. So the quicker it gets cleaned up, the quicker I can get back to the I was doing before I made the mess.
You know what? It's funny. You mentioned dishwasher, and I remember there was another dude I worked with when I was at Cracker Barrel. My homie John, he was a grill cook, right? And
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 did he put in Paul Wall's teeth or what?
Nah, but it's funny because he went from
Johnny
there.
Dang?
He went from there to the Marines, right? So he became a Marine for like 10 years. Ended up now he's like a photographer. He has like all kinds of shit. And it's like, damn, like I seen him recently and I'm like, damn, dog, it's crazy. Like, we think about where we were 15 years ago, and you see yourself, you're like, that's crazy, huh? Like to be where
you just gotta trust the process. Just do good shit. Don't you can do a little bit of bad shit here and there. Just don't do no horrible shit. You know what I mean? And trust the process. Bro, I was thinking, even check this out. I don't have 2 of them anymore. So this is not a brag by any means. It's just you got to go for it sometimes. I bought houses in 4 different cities and all over the state. 2 of them were in Northern California. One was in Shelter Cove and one was in McKinleyville. I own a house right now in Fresno, and I'm way the out here on the Central Coast in Lompoc. Look at that all over the map. And I lived in Coos Bay, Oregon for like 3 years. I got no regrets. I done been all over this sucker. I done California. I done bleeded. I done lived at the top of the state, the middle, in the Central Valley, the Central Coast. You know what? You got 75 summers. Make them count.
Damn, there was a point I was going to bring up about my friend. Fuck, what? Okay, he worked there. I don't remember. But anyway.
Look at Covino and Rich. Big shout out to them for making a move to the West Coast from the East Coast. Like, I mean, we give Spot shit a lot of the time. We give Rich shit a lot of the time. But how many people were complacent that wouldn't have did that?
Yeah,
they bi-coastal.
That is across the country, dog. That takes some balls, right?
And started lives. Rich bought a house. Covino bought a condo.
Yeah.
Spot bought a phase. Couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Before I start talking shit, I gotta give a shout out real quick to
Okay.
Covino,
All right.
because this fucker, he brought up a story during his rando news about Andy Ruiz Jr., the boxer, stepping out on his lady and hooking up with Lupillo Rivera's ex-wife, right?
Okay.
And so Covino's like, these are some very, big names. He's like, Lupillo is a singer. He's like, probably in the kind of music he's like Daniel Javier Fitz will listen to.
Oh, I
And
know. I heard him.
and I was like, dog, it's so funny that he said that, because I'm like, Lupillo Rivera, dog, him, his sister Jenny, and they have
Jams.
alone, they have
Let me
fucking
guess.
jams. They have together, they have, dog, there's this one song that Jenny Rivera has where it's like I forgot what it's called, but it's basically talking about like when I die, right? And she died in a plane crash, right? And it was a crazy ass plane crash where like they found like her foot over here and like her fucking head over here. Like it was horrific. And it was just, I thought, Doug, that's where I'm like, I gotta give a shout out to just the show as a whole, because how many shows will know, hey, you know what? Like our listeners, I can pick out one person that I know digs this kind of music.
And knows what the hell I'm talking about.
And when I heard that, because Covino said, I'm not familiar with these people. He was like, but when he talked about it, and it's funny because I told my brother-in-law, I was like, oh yeah,
the one that won't dig the hole.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, oh yeah, Andy Ruiz.
See, you just proved my point, because when you brought him up in reference, you said brother-in-law. Get that man a shovel.
Yeah. So he was like, when I told him that Andy Ruiz Jr. was hooking up with this Lupillo's ex, he's like, oh, again, whatever her name is. He was like, Graciela, or whatever her name was, And I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, and so it's so funny because in that community with like Latinos and shit, everybody's like, oh, and I thought it was cool that them they know us like that, dog. That I thought that was cool. But I just had to preface this, I guess, before I actually go and talk shit about the Covino. I have literally on my notes, it says Covino is ridiculous. This fucker is, oh my god, dog. I couldn't stop laughing because he is so stubborn, which I get because I am a stubborn fucker, right? I told you, I'm like, no, fuck that guy. I don't give a fuck. I'm cooler than him, whatever. I'm very, very, very set in my ways, but whatever. But they were talking about Covino's eyes, right?
I remember that. I got something to say on that too.
And him reading the fucking like teleprompter, not teleprompter, but the
he can manipulate his eyes.
That's what he said, Doug. I can manipulate my eyes, and I'm like, Doug, I'm like, you mean like squint and shit and try to focus your eyes in? And Rich had a good point. He goes, isn't that what glasses do? And it made me laugh because he's so hard-headed. He's like, no, I don't need glasses. I could manipulate my eyes. And when I heard that, I'm like, so you'd rather sit here and try and manipulate your eyes rather than going and getting the LASIK like you did or some shit,
That was my point. The thing is, when I did it, it was 2100 an eye, and that was over 20 years ago. So I know it's not 2100 an eye anymore, and I haven't. And so, well, we talked about it. I think we've talked about it on our show. If you get a new pair and your copay is $100 a year for 21 years, what do you got? $2,100.
Yeah.
And if you leave those things and you travel and you left them and you don't have them on the plane, you don't have them in the rental car, like, why deal with that headache instead of just going in there for 45 minutes and staring at a dot for 45 seconds and another dot for 45 seconds, and now you never got to worry about it again?
You know what, dog? I'm really considering that shit because I think last year,
for safety reasons,
I spent like $600 on my contacts and shit.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to drive at night and maybe you lost a contact or it was messing with your vision? Has your vision always been perfect the whole time, or during your contact career, has it been compromised at times when you needed them to come through and they didn't?
Yeah, I just actually had to switch I had to switch contact companies or whatever because my right eye is really bad. And I was telling my optometrist, I'm like, hey, this one isn't focusing and shit. Like I have to blink a couple of times, then it'll kind of get into focus. And she was like, well, let's try this other brand. They were cool right off the bat. They sat on my eye a little bit better because I have an astigmatism. So my eye has a weird
I have
shape
one
to it.
too.
So she was like, these ones will sit on your eye a little better. And I'm like, dog, that's just such a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm. That's my point. It's like, so even if you go the other route with glasses or contacts, they're going to let you down. At some point or another, you're going to need them and you forgot them, or they don't work, or they're not helping, or something going to happen. So you're getting like second rate shit. That's the difference in getting like a Honda and thinking that you're going to save some money and get a Kia. And then you see everyone in your TikTok scroll with all those motors being blown out because Kia suck. You're already going to spend an average of $100 a year, if not more, to keep up with your glasses or your contacts or whatnot. Why, if you're worried about the money, get the payment plan. I didn't pay $4,200 up front. I think I put a couple G's down and I made payments. But you have 5 senses as a human: your taste, your sight, your smell, your hearing, and whatever the other one is. And right, touch. So if one of your 5 senses that helps you navigate this world, and you know what I mean, is out and you can make it perfect for a couple of grand, how is it even debatable? Why are we even having this conversation? I'm confused. Like, how do I get this? Why?
So you convinced me, dog. I need to do some research and start looking into this because, dog, I've been wearing contacts for, let me see, since I was like 14, right? I'm 35. So 21 years I've been wearing contacts.
I've had LASIK since 99. So for 24 years, I've had LASIK.
Yeah.
And I've never, in 24 years, I've never been compromised where I needed contacts or anything to help me get through. I
got glasses in the 2nd grade. So how old are you in the 2nd grade? Like 7 or 8?
6 or 8, 7, 6, 8, something.
Yeah. So I'm like, Doug, so
depends how many times you got held back. It could be 10.
But no. I really, Doug, I think I need and I have good ass insurance. Why the don't they'll probably cover some of that shit,
Let me put it this way. For 2/3 of the money, why would you invest in a Band-Aid?
Yeah.
When you know the surgery can fix it and you never got to worry about it again.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe a quarter, maybe 25 of those summers later, you get a touch up.
Yeah. You convinced me, dog. Oh, you know what, dog? This is
I mean, if it was food in your taste buds, it would be a no-brainer, right? If you could only taste your food when you put on glasses, but you had a way to taste it all the time, you'd fix that. Like there's certain shit you're hearing, right? Go ask people who are deaf, bro. If they could just have a dot put in their ear for 45 seconds or whatnot, and all of a sudden they could hear just fine. Like it's a sense.
I got a lot of family that's deaf. I could ask any one of them.
There you go. Give me feedback on the next show.
Hey,
bro. Yeah, ask them. Say, hey, bro, for even if they could only hear, like, say their hearing's just jacked up, they can get by, but they have problems with their hearing. Ask them if for $4,000 they could hear perfect for the next 30 years that they do it.
Yeah, 100%, dog. I know if they could, like, I have uncles and shit that are completely deaf. They could, dog. If you could tell them they could hear a little bit, they'd be hella stoked,
Bro, you don't even get a shot. They give you eye drops that numb your shit.
Yeah.
It's an eye drop, and you stare at a dot that you can't feel for 45 seconds, and that's it. They give you goggles for the next week so you don't rub your eyes while you sleep, and they give these little drops that are medicine so it don't get infected that you take for a week. After that, bro, it's over.
Yeah. You convinced me, dog. I need to definitely.
And tell the Laser IQ Center in Fresno I want my cut.
What the fuck, dog? I'm done. As soon as we're done with this, I'm gonna have to edit real quick just for the Patreon because I didn't realize the first like 30 minutes I had our shit on mute. So, but I luckily I hit record on 50 other things, but so yeah. But anyway, and I just realized right now my mic was on mute again. But yeah, man, I completely agree with you. Yeah. So what else we got?
Well, I got 2 things to tie into one. First of all, Spot, when he was saying that you have to have camaraderie with someone you've never met in regards to the producer, Rich's producer.
Yeah.
And then 30 seconds later, he was talking shit about Sirius. He made like a
Uh
little backhanded comment on that. Did you hear that?
oh yeah, and then Rich said, "Well, now you're taking it personal and shit because he was hella frustrated."
So I wanted to call that out because he was acting like fucking one way, and then once it turned about him and his job and shit, he had a different comment.
Yeah.
But that conversation tied into people fucking working from home and being, you know, they should, if you have the opportunity, like for what they do, they should be allowed to work from home. And I want to know what you thought about that.
But one thing that I dig about my position is mine is half running reports and shit, behind the scenes shit, half like front facing, fixing student accounts and shit. But if I have to, I have the option of just unplugging my laptop and taking that bitch home and working from home that day. So if I have a couple of days where I need to work from home, I have the option. So I dig the option, just the I don't know if the 100% remote work is cool because like there's people that we see, in our directory and shit that we've never met because they've never been on campus or whatever.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. I wouldn't want to work from home. We had that option, or we had to for 2-3 years, right, with COVID. And it's cool every once in a while, but just to be 24 hours a day, I mean 24, every shift, I'm not a fan of it. I didn't dig it.
No, and I'll be honest too. Like I don't know, in business, we studied a long time ago about, Ford back in the day having people working a line and certain lighting and all these other tweaks to try to get more productivity out of teams. And I
Yeah.
think that, I can see it in some. I think in some businesses, maybe like with SiriusXM, does it cost more because they always want to have a downtown building and their rent is hella expensive because they're serious, right? So maybe for what Covino and Rich do a lot of the time, it's cheaper for a business standpoint. Because I don't know how much interaction they got to have to record their little stuff for the shows that they do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think from like for me, I worked at Vault again. I worked at Vault, bro. There were times it was slow and I was doing dishes and cooking dinner and like I was a supervisor. So I only had to really engage on the phone if I was responding to a complaint, trying to like fix a situation. So I could I could do the messaging from wherever. And there were hours where it was slow and the company was still paying me and I wasn't really working. I think at least from a retail standpoint, that's when you start detailing the store. There's always something to do in a store. So
Yeah.
like from a retail standpoint or other standpoints, I think the physical presence, you could still get more out of your money because you can have them catching up on this or shredding that or organizing this.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's better people be in person myself.
Yeah. No. I don't, and
You
I
get more
like,
value for your labor dollar. How's
and
that?
I think, dog, giving them the option of from time to time being able to work from home, right? If fucking say your wife's sick or something and you have kids that don't go to school yet or some shit,
Yeah.
you have that option. I think that's awesome. But
Maybe cap it at 16 hours a week or something. Man, have you ever had an Oscar Mayer? You know the Oscar Mayer weenies that are stuffed with cheese? They're
I
just like
can't.
the longer hot dogs, but they have cheese in the middle of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You wrap them in a generic store brand croissant dough from the dairy section, where you kind of unroll it and you kind of make
Yeah.
those little pigs in a blanket. But then you also go and get the no bean chili and some ghetto ass nacho cheese and some tapatio
That
and
sounds bomb.
some queso fresco, and you smother those bad boys.
Yeah, no, that sounds hella good. I was
$5 or $6.
I'm trying to think of Doug, it was funny. One of the things, Doug, because we talked about hood meals and shit the other day. One
Mm-hmm.
of the things that people were commenting on TikTok, Doug, that I think that video has like 53,000 views now. So
Hood meals.
we're doing dope. But somebody mentioned, Doug, well, actually a couple of people mentioned having a condiment sandwich. I had never heard of that in my life. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I don't get much. No, you know what? I knew a lot of people. I never did it because I thought it was gross, but had mayonnaise and cheese and ketchup sandwiches where they would stick in like mayo and cheese or mustard and ketchup and like a slice of cheese.
No, and that's what they were talking about.
With not
But
not grilled cheese or nothing like that. Just like plain bread with but no, I never did it.
no, Doug, I never heard of. To me, I'm like, if you don't have even bologna or deli fucking sliced ham.
That's when you get a tortilla and some butter.
You just don't fucking eat a sandwich then.
Right.
Just to
Because
have
you always got tortillas and you always got butter.
a condiment sandwich. So you're
No,
gonna have that, Doug. I can't imagine throwing like ketchup and tapatio and mayonnaise and be like, "This is what I'm gonna eat." To
no.
me,
That's when you make some
it's
toast or
incomplete.
something.
Yeah, that I don't know, dog. That's oh man.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to think of some other things. There were some hood meals. Let me see. Oh, I made one the other night.
What? What you make?
I made I grabbed the little Maruchan ramen,
Uh-huh.
right? I mixed that with like tomato sauce and a can of SpaghettiOs, right? And
Okay.
then I chopped up some like bell peppers and like jalapenos and shit, threw that
Okay.
bitch in there. And then I think I had meat, like ground beef or some shit from somewhere. I don't know where it was in my fridge. Mixed that bitch in there. It was the ghettoest shit, dog. I threw some of the bouillon, the consomme shit, throw
Yeah,
that in
yeah,
there,
yeah.
right? And dog, it was the ghettoest. It was literally grab every thing you have in the house and just throw it in there. And it was funny because I had just made it because like I'll give some of this shit to my daughter and be like, here, I made you a soup,
Yeah.
And my wife got home and she was like, oh, did you make anything for dinner? I was like, no. I was like, well, there's some shit over there. And so she ate some and I was like, fuck, man, I didn't want her to taste that. That was some ghetto ass shit that I just threw together. So she ate it and she was like, that was good. What was in there? Dog, I even threw bologna in that bitch.
Yeah, fuck it. Nah. You know another one too is those little Vienna sausages that come in the can?
Mm-hmm.
You get those things in some piping hot oil, fry them up, and throw them in some like maybe some teriyaki sauce after they're already fried up to your consistency. Get it to smother down, get a little, get to stick to the meat, and over some steamed rice.
Damn, that sounds good. Actually, that doesn't even sound good ghetto to me. Or
Yeah, but it's cheap though, because those things used to be like 2 for $1. You throw 3 or 4 cans in there, you got a lot of those little weenies, sauce them up, and the rice is cheap. You're good. You get barbecue sauce if you really wanted to.
Oh, fuck, that sounds bomb. You know what? And that's what I dig. You know what? I think when people start to get creative, right, with your resources, because that I think like you're talking about building character, right? If you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, right, and you're over here, you never had a struggle or figure shit out. Like I remember my girl was telling me, she was like, damn, she's like, remember, like, dog, like when my daughter was born, we were scraping away, right? And even Rafael Bucio came to our ghetto acido pad when he was in town, and I had him take a shower, Doug. Well, he took a shower at my pad, and we had like half a shower curtain, right? It was like all ghetto as I was like, oh, I mean, my bad, dog. It's hood, but I mean, and he was like, oh, good. Now I don't have to take one at the truck stop or whatever, And
Bro,
I was like,
my first job paid $4.25 an hour.
mine was $7.24, I think.
$4.25 ain't shit in the state of California. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even back then, the Happy Meal combo was still $3 or $4.
Yeah.
You work an hour, you can get a McDonald's Happy Meal.
It's crazy, dog. Oh, you know what's funny? Let me go ahead and let me tell you about how perspective changes and shit as you get older and shit. Because I remember when I was like in school and shit, I was like, if I get a job where I'm making 30 grand a year,
yeah,
I was like, I'll be rolling, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a fucking Beamer, I'm gonna have a 2-story house, I'm gonna be rolling, right? And then I got a job. I was making $30,200. I remember that was like my little contract or whatever, right? And I remember I was like, what the fuck? I'm still poor, right?
Yeah, peanuts.
And then it's funny because I was having a conversation with somebody, one of the work studies at work the other day, and they were like, man, they were like, if I get a job, they're like, where I'm making $40,000 a year, they're like, in Yuma, they're like, I'll be doing really good. They're like, I could pretty much, they go, for $40,000 a year.
Are they living at home?
This person is, well, yeah,
because they ain't factored in rent or none of the real life bills yet. That's why.
So they're living with their brother, right?
Right.
And but they were like $40,000 a year. They're like, I'll be able. They go, and Yuma, they're like,
Yuma.
He goes,
all high pitched Rich Davis and everything, or what?
He goes, I could be able to get whatever I want. He goes, you get, and I was like, dog, I'm like, I had a job that was 30,000, that was 40,000. I'm like, and I was still struggling. And I'm just like, it's just crazy perspective, dog. When you're a kid, you're like, and you're not thinking, okay, all they're taking out for retirement, all they're taking out for this, for and all this and that, right? They're taking out now you're paying for medical, now you're paying for. I'm like, dog, it's not you're taking 40,000 home, take home, even that would be hard to live on. But these dudes over here he was talking about like, oh, I'm gonna be able to do this. I'm gonna be able, and he's like all into like cars and shit and like little Fast and the Furious type cars and shit. I'll be able to get the whatever Z 9 million that I want and all this shit. And I was like, hey, good for you, dog. Keep working hard, like. And this kid, honestly, I feel like they're going to be very successful. They're a good kid. Right. They're very smart. They're very proactive in everything they do and shit. But it's just perspective. You can't tell a young kid like, hey, you're stupid, like,
no,
like,
well, and I knew a certain someone that went from 80 to 120, and that it sounds like a huge jump. I mean, that's basically double or half of what they were making before, stacked on top of what they're making. I mean, you would think that's a huge jump. Yeah. But that person at 80 was taking home, 2,200 every 2 weeks, and then at the 120 was only taking home like 29. So you would think it, because the more you make, the more they take, especially if you're not self-employed. If you're self-employed and you can write half of that shit off, that's one thing. But if you're employed, your boss and the person writing your checks, writing everything off, and you're getting boned.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about that, because you'll see a job and you're like, oh, cool. Oh, that shit's paying, like you said, significantly more. And then you're like, wait, that's like another $200 a check. You're like, what the fuck? So I'm going to have all this responsibility, all this changing shit, because it looks good on paper, which, yeah, that might be a nice move. It's not a lateral move. It's actually moving up a little bit. And then, but in the
but what's your responsibility level too, though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is so you're going to do this, and this, and make, another $500, $400 a month. Like, what the fuck, dog? You could save that if you're just not stupid,
Well, even that $40,000 raise, it only came out to about $350 a week.
Yeah.
And so if your responsibility level, if you have to ask yourself, and you have to realize too, most people do this. There are some that don't, but it is very rare. And if you disagree, please speak on it. Every time people get a raise, within 12 months, their expenses went up too, because now they can afford something new. Whether they went and put a refrigerator on payments, or the car blew out and they wanted to just get a new one or whatnot. Normally, when someone gets a raise and it's of decent size, they get a better something. They move out the hood. They get rid of the bucket. And now they got a payment on a new Honda. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So your bills go up. It ain't like you just get that raise and chill, and then all your little bills that you've had stay the same. No. Because when you get the car, now your insurance goes up. If you got a gas guzzler, now your gas went up with it. I mean, it's a chain effect, and everyone goes and gets something.
Yeah. No, I feel you 100%. Like, I think about, dog, if I was making what I'm making now, and I was living at that little shitty apartment I told you that Rafael Bucio came to.
Yeah.
Dog, would be able to put like hundreds of thousands of dollars away each month,
Right.
But you move up, right? You, like you said, you get the we went from that to like a decent apartment to a house, and then you get better cars, and now you're kids in 50 million activities, and now like
50 million, bro, undersell it.
And then so there's like, it just, like you said, yeah,
it compounds.
You're gonna move up a little bit, and then your expenses are gonna go up a lot. And now it's kind of,
and you're not getting the Taco Bell special 5 days a week. Now you Ruth Chris 3-4 times a year. And you know what I'm saying?
Thank you, dog. The other day I thought about how I go, you know what? I was at the Jack in the Box drive-thru, right? And I was looking at the menu, and I thought to myself, I'm hood rich. And and I don't know,
you could buy everything on the menu.
Because I go, I go, Doug, I could get whatever the fuck I want on this menu. I'm like, give me the whole fucking menu to go, Like,
yeah.
It was funny though, because I thought about that, because, Doug, there are times when you're younger and you're struggling and shit, and you're at Jack and you're like, you know what? I'm going to get me 4 tacos because that's only going to be $2, or
Yes.
whatever. So it is funny, dog. Like where you're like, that is hood rich. Like where you're like, oh no, you know what? You get whatever you want for,
I can get the most expensive combo if I want to.
and for everybody in the car, I'll get it. Are you serious? You know, some of your homies that are still hood, you know, some of your girls' friends or whatever.
Oh yeah, I can't do
He,
that.
he's gonna get it all. Like
I
that.
don't do that.
What's it gonna be, dog? $27. Like, come on now.
I don't do that. That's encouraging bad behavior.
Well, I'm saying I could. That's
Yes.
the thing.
Okay.
Because at this time, dog, I was by myself,
Oh,
right? And
okay.
I was looking at the menu, and I was
What'd
like,
you order? Can I ask?
that was probably like a ultimate cheeseburger combo or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
But it was just like, but I was, if I wanted, I could throw egg rolls on that bitch. I could throw some, you know, cheddar fries or whatever they're called. I could throw, you know, throw it
I
all.
I never do it though. I took Augustina and Ethan. We went to grub at the Hitchin Post out here. Everyone brags about the Hitchin Post. I don't know if you ever heard of Santa Maria tri-tip. You ever heard of that term?
No.
Well, out here, the tri-tip, they made it famous for their seasoning, the way they cook it. And this particular place barbecues indoor over red oak. So like you can taste the wood. Overrated. But I felt like you felt like I could really have had anything on the menu. I think their most expensive thing was like filet mignon and lobster, and it was like 120. But I'm still frugal. I still got the 8-ounce sirloin.
Yeah. No. It's cool though, because like the other day we had
And I'm
gone
glad I
to,
did. I'm glad I did. You know why? Because last night, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. Last night, I was like, you know what? That I got the Santa Barbara, the 805 tri-tip seasoning from my boy that I know that he's a receiver at Spencer's, but he has a product line of seasoning, and his shit's fire. It captures all of the Santa Maria tri-tip flavor in a jar. I already had a tri-tip. We marinated it and we killed it. We cooked a better one on an indoor George Foreman type Hamilton Beach grill than these did over the oak wood at the Hitchin Post. It was good, but and you can't replace that oak wood flavor. But that's why I'm frugal, because you know what? For 20 shanks, I can feed 3 people, and we all eat. And there's leftover tri-tip, and it's tender as can be, and it shits on the one that we spent $50 a steak on.
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, Doug, I really don't have a whole lot, if I'm being real. Left.
No, don't be real.
uh,
All I got is Kim Congdon and Weinshenk, and they went on a date with a guy. And I think Condon said she wouldn't date him just because of his driving. She said he was too unsure and hesitated too much. And she also says she likes to eat meals in bed, but if someone else does it, they're a pig.
all right, I have a question.
Okay.
Where did you hear this?
I seen them on, I think it was, one was interviewing, the other was on either TikTok or Instagram.
Oh yeah, because I'm like, oh, that's crazy, Doug. That I'm like that. You're checking them out. That's cool. That's super cool.
No, I follow Weinshenk. I already told you that one.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Not Sofia Bevarly style, but
I
Bob.
honestly, I kind of. Oh, I thought you were saying you prefer her to. I mean, you prefer Sofia Beverly to her.
No, like they come up in my feed. I don't do what Spot does, and or he did before.
Oh, you know what, dog? Real quick, I know we.
He was creeper about Sofia Beverly. Remember that?
Looking back, was he overcompensating?
Of course, but he was creepy about it. Remember, he said it so much it got creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now let me give you a would you rather. The Weinshanks or Sofia Beverly?
Weinshanks. I think Sofia Beverly might be the better notch on your belt, if that's what you're going for. But I think the Weinshenk, you're going to make more of a connection and maybe develop something, because you're more like a Weinshenk than you are Sofia Beverly. You have more in common.
No, I think I think Weinshank's cool as like, I think, and just according to me, I think she's hotter than Sofia Beverly. Like you said, Sofia Beverly's got the huge tits. She's pretty cool, but I'm just more attracted to Weinshank, right? And when it comes to Weinshank's personality, if you listen to her podcast, dog, I dig her personality. She's like, she's dirty, dog. Like she talks about like good, like squirting and shit, and she's like scandalous, where it's kind of hot, it's so I can't imagine, like Covino said, or Spot said, no, I think Spot said that Jordan's friends are disgusted by like spot hooking up with dudes or some shit. And I just think of like Sofia Bevarly being like more prudish. And
Yeah.
I feel like Weinshenk is more like she could joke about squirting and shit, or she could joke about fucking
I got it.
You know, like what?
Sophia Beverly is like, damn, how'd you pull that? Right. And Weinshenk is like, damn, your chick's hot and she's hella cool.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like, yeah, like you could be yourself around Weinshenk. I feel like
and your friends can be themselves, where with a Sophia Beverly or someone else, because their worlds are different, right? Weinshank's not flaunting her body, she's flaunting her personality.
And she's hot at the same time, which makes
and
it
she
dope.
is hot, but she's hot. But what makes her a little hotter is she's showing you the personality side of it, where it only seems like Sophia Beverly in them only
has no personality.
They don't, and they have high taste buds, and they're demanding, and they're it's like it's not it takes a lot more effort to kick it with one of them because they're higher maintenance. Where a Weinshenk is hot too. And I bet some lingerie, bro. She gets into her mood, she's just as hot. I'm telling you right now.
Well, even think about this. After Weinshenk and Kim Congdon did their show here, after the show, Doug, they went to Applebee's. They had them
That's
two
good.
just by themselves. They were like, hey, cool. That was a cool show. They went to Applebee's, Doug. They could have gone to a million places here in town that were higher end.
What time did the show end?
Maybe like 11 or 12. I don't know.
I was gonna say, maybe if it's for the half price apps, I'm there.
I'm sure it was happy hour because it's usually like 9 to
after 9, right? Yeah. That's a great choice. I would do the same shit.
You're like, and she's sensible financially,
bro. You got 23-ounce Mondos, right? Or the Brutus. They got the Brutus. You can go sip some Brutuses, eat a shitload of chicken wonton tacos. You're winning.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, yeah, Doug, I think I'm ready to call it a
day, bro. That's it. That's a wrap.
We've been here for an hour and 42 minutes, Doug.
Recorded 42 minutes of it.
Nah, I recorded an hour and 37 minutes of it, Doug. So we're good. Right, cool. But after show, but later, make sure. Oh, and you can't see this, Cucuy, but right here says patreon.com/ and I put a little picture of Slash, the guitar player.
Okay.
So patreon.com/ TASBL if you want to see us on Patreon. You could get this shit early, live, interact with us, whatever you want.
You should have put a picture of a cutter.
Cutter.
People that cut themselves.
Oh, you're fucked. All right. After show, but later, hit us up 928-235-5285. After show BL across all social media. Hit up patreon.com/ Covino and Rich for them. Hit us up patreon.com/ El Cucuy, do you have anything before we leave, or should we bring in Baseline Trey?
Baseline Trey, let's rock.
Baseline Trey, we'll see you guys. Peace.
Now buckle up your seats and prepare for the journey. Let the music ease your soul, grab a spliff and start burning. Relax with us and take a trip to the heavens and come and spend a day in the 757.